A photo, a picture, an image is worth more than 1,000 words and more than 1,000 books and more than 1,000 boring, you know what. So let's see the first of all the photos. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, impacting, isn't it? 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, shocking, isn't it? 25, 26, 27, impressive. 28, really amazing. 29, yeah. 30, by the gods. 31, I'm back. Now, let's first of all, this is going to be a short video just to show the photos. The reason of doing this is because if I start doing a video while I'm speaking, you're going to get bored. So I just wanted to make sure that you first get your attention with the shocking photos. These are, of course, photos from the 1800s, the second half of the 19th century, which was not the 19th century, it was the 9th century of the Millennium of Jesus Christ, with the J and the I's. But yeah, we know it as the 1800s, and of course after 1850 is when things got really heated, as you know, literally speaking, with the fires, and with the children. And the big, me included, so I'm speaking about all of us, me included. Fortunately, I spend lots of my time trying to find the reality of the real world and what's public, and to get away from the indoctrination. Unfortunately, the big majority of the people surrounding you, and even yourself, are indoctrinated since the early days of childhood, since you're children. Just the same way that I was, severely and in different layers of indoctrination, which is normal. It's written in the biblical texts. After the kingdom, then Lucifer is set loose, and we've seen that, and we all of us know, those of us who are not afraid to speak the reality of the real world. People usually are afraid to speak the reality of the real world because they're afraid of, first of all, to change their mindset, because it's a normal working criteria of the brain and of the emotions to block yourself inside your own indoctrination just because you don't like the reality of the real world. So that's one of the criteria that our brains and bodies do to protect their own beliefs, because people usually, the big majority of humans, 9 out of 10, they consider their own personal belief more important than the supreme, shocking, ultra amazing reality of the real world with evidence in photos and documents. Second, the big majority of people do not want to accept that the millennium of Christ has ended a long time ago, and we are living now, for a long time now, for us, speaking for our average human life, we are living the short season of Lucifer, devil, Satan, call it however you want. Lucifer is the proper name because it's even written in the text, which again, Christians don't like to read, the big majority. And if Christians don't like to read it, the other people who are not Christians, even less so. Now, the thing is, we are going to... So first of all, let me put in context. These are the fires of the 1800s. As you know, in the 1800s, especially from the 1850 onwards, but it started before that, all of the cities, and this is like just in the case of the USA, of the United States, but also happened in Russia and Europe, parts of Europe, and of course parts of the other Americas and Asia. And Australia, so and Africa as well in certain cases, but it was a bit different there. So the what's left, and people say, oh, it's just because of the wildfires, and then they have all these stories. Oh, it was an accident, it was a cow, it was somebody who was doing a barbecue, whatever, you know, the typical stories. We all know that these are not natural fires, and we all know that this is what's left after an attack with energy weapons. And we've seen that, and of course, the best way to understand this is what's happened in the First World War and then the Second World War, when they used the weapons as well, and the pictures are identical. But remember, and of course, lots of records were destroyed. although there's plenty of records left on paper in the Library of Congress, in this case in the USA, for those of you who want to know the truth, and everything is public, nothing is hidden, it's just you have to spend time. And of course, the new humans who came to the empty cities, we are speaking in the case of the USA, but also in other parts of the world as well, and the cities were there, and of course a repopulation was done, and they just occupied the buildings, and this was done even in the second half of the 19th century, so in the 1800s, and of course it was done all the way up until the Second World War in the 1900s, with special emphasis before the First World War and after the First World War. And when you see these buildings, they say, oh, construction. No, it's actually repairs and repurposing and cleaning, because everything was in ruins. And the things that were not in ruins, because there's some places were not in ruins, it was in ruins, the stuff around some buildings, there was like these leftover, what they call expos, which were like the leftover buildings of the old world, and those were destroyed as well. And the oldest people who are now dead, of course, because they were children in the 1800s, they all died between the 1920s and the 1950s, those who were born in the 1800s. And the only ones that are still remembering, which are also pretty much dead by now, the grandchildren of those who were old at the beginning of the 20th century are now old. So the grandchildren who were born between the 1910 or the 1900s and the 1940s, the oldest ones right now have between 80 and 100 years, and they're dead or they're going to die soon. So they still remember the stories that their grandparents and their granddads and grandmoms, they told them in the 1910s, 20s, 30s, because those people were born in the 1800s. So that's why it's so hard to meet people who tell you things, but there's still lots of records. And of course, don't forget about these places. So these cities in America, and not just America, and Russia, they were there, and then they were destroyed in many parts. And then of course they started building. This is why it's so easy to. This is the type of buildings that we have, and of course the ones that they did afterwards with the skyscrapers. This is SHIT, Supreme Inferior Construction. And these were many times built on top of buildings like these, which are now hidden and buried. And in the cases where it was compulsory for the new people to destroy the empty cities, this is what happened. So as you can see here, I think this is one of the best pictures, is this one. This is a city which was there. This is from the 1800s in America, and it was literally destroyed with weapons, with energy weapons. And we have the ruins, and they left buildings here and there. The rest were just annihilated, destroyed, and it happened in multiple occasions in the USA, in Russia, in Europe, in Australia, and in other parts of the world, in Asia, and parts of Africa. So, and this is the reality of the real world. So, this was just a video to show you the photos. In the next videos in the future, once I finish showing you photos, because I have so many pictures to still show you, we can do videos which are more boring, where you have to sit down and just listen to me speaking for 8 to 10 minutes. Keep it short, where I just put a photo and I speak. For now, I'm just going to leave you with the photos and the pictures. And don't forget that these people were a national treasure. By national, I mean in any country, not just the USA. When they died between 1900 and 1940s, 1950s, they still had the memories of the old world. And some of their grandchildren, who are now of this old age, they still remember, but they're dead. I still have some memories because my parents met their grandparents, who were born in the 1800s, and their grandparents, they told them when they were children, and of course my parents told me. So that's why I know. But if it wasn't for that, I would still not know. I mean, I still didn't know lots of these things. I knew barely some bits and pieces of information. So see you in the next videos.